think I always made the comment that once a Miller, always a Miller.
Ravel, ambitious, but brilliant! I don't believe it! I swear I do not believe it! Good heavens, he's done it again! Another promotion for the big man.
I've got 12 bottles of champagne in my office and we're going to drink them all night.
Do me a favour, drop me off in Rotherham.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to New York Talk. This is the Rotherham United podcast, and we should have known what was coming when Gareth Ainsworth'ed rocked up at New York Stadium, to be fair. We knew it was coming, and that's kind of what happened. We will talk through a very poor Saturday afternoon at New York Stadium. We have another game to talk about, the joys. 3-game week, so we're tripped over to the Seaside on Tuesday evening to hopefully get things more positive. Mick, first of all, how are we?
I'm all right, mate. I'm all right. It's Super Bowl evening, isn't it? Let's talk about that instead. Some of us will be up all night.
Not me. I did it in 1985, but I'm not doing it now.
Tom's back. How are we doing, Tom?
Yeah, all football aside, pretty good.
Yeah, fair enough. And Steve's back. How are you doing, Steve?
Good evening. Yeah, had a decent day, just watching football. So at least football that kind of gets you off your seat. That Villa game was rather good. Bit of oomph about it, unlike yesterday.
Yeah. We're going to start with you, Mick, because you have upset another set of fans. I don't know how you do it. It's just natural. It's like asking Messi why is he so good at football. It just comes natural to him. Seems like Shrewsbury, Mick.
Yeah.
I can't believe you fell into crap.
No. That was schoolboy error, weren't it?
It was.
It was schoolboy error. For clarity, I meant a team that's second bottom at league we should be beating. But on the flip side of that, it's triggered a few people, hasn't it? I've been called pretentious.
I mean, pretentious.
I don't even. There is no way that word fits the way I was on post match yesterday, or at any other point in my life. But listen, I'll take it. Whatever. I stand by what I said. We should be beating them. Don't just listen to one line. If you're going to listen to one line of what's said, don't bother listening to it at all. I listen to it all, or don't bother listening. With the quality that we've got in that squad, we should be beating second bottom. End of.
Yeah. Also, Shrewsbury fans just laugh it off when we get teams like Rotherham. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
I find it really funny. So it's like a badge of honour when somebody says teams like in your team. Just enjoy the win.
I fell into the trap, and for that, I'm not going to apologise. But it was wrong, weren't it? Really, I meant second bottom.
And I got a drive-by on this because the question was, who are these Muppets? I was stood there saying nothing during this 13 seconds. Muppet here.
Drive-by.
Whatever.
Drive-by.
We've got lots and lots of comments already. We had lots of comments from before we even started. We'll go through everybody we can. Our YouTube viewers is with us, as is Stevie, Mick, and Steve. Aaron says, evening, time for change top to bottom. Martin Holland's with us, as is John Hinchcliffe. Steve Mick says, good evening, everybody. I never imagined League One campaign would ever feel worse than a championship one, but here we are. Neil says, evening, everybody. Another green game to discuss. Mark says, evening all, same old. Steve Gundy, hello all. Anyone from more narrow hoofball? Matt Miller says, how much of the podcast are we going to get out of the dark arts, poor refs, and worn in Evans out? Please, not that nonsense. I can't. We'll see what we can do. But Tom, it was kind of what you expected from a Gareth Ainsworth team. And I mean this positive. Whenever I watch a Gareth Ainsworth team, I'm impressed with their organisation, their identity, and everything that they do. Whether you like or don't what they do, I'm always impressed that they do it brilliantly. And they did it. Shrewsbury are so lacking in quality, and that's obviously why they are where they are in the league. But they don't lack effort. They don't lack organisation. If we had that organisation and everything else, we'd be in playoffs. They're impressive from that point of view.
Yeah, no, they are, and what they do well. Wherever he's gone, he's managed to implement that sort of work ethic into players, and it's incredible how he manages to do it with all of them. But it's not half bad to watch, and that's not an insult. That's just a straight fact. Is that it is? If that was how you said it there, that if we were that organised, we'd be in the playoffs. If we were in the playoffs playing like this, I'd rather not. In all honesty, it's you got to know that that's what you're coming up against, and we just didn't account for it. You know, they were narrow, they were organised, like you said. They won second balls, flick-ons, headers. They won everything in the air. They won everything on the ground, and they were just better at, reacting to the second balls and whatnot. But the quality of the game was so low from the get-go. We had that 7-game spell where we looked good with the ball, and I don't know what's happened and whether or not it's because we play against poor teams, but that's you'd have to list them on two hands the amount of teams that we've lost against this season that are in League Two or relegation side, and to me it's not I don't think it's a psychological thing. Evans keeps saying it's psychological. We think we're playing against Bradford, so we don't turn up. I think it's style of play. I just don't think we know how to, when we have the ball, I don't think we know what to do with it. And obviously there was some poor defending for their 2 goals, but we didn't offer much of a threat until that last 5 minutes. Even Hax's goal was, based on a Jordan Hugill excellent header, which something nobody thought you'd say, but yeah, props to him there. In my opinion, yeah, we miss individuals for the system, and it's not good enough how it is, and which is a shame as well, because those were the only 11, 12 if you include Hugill that are available. So that's the only team that you can possibly put out. So yeah, a lot of stuff to blame, not many answers.
Not many answers. No more questions, Steve, to be fair, because if you use Gareth Ainsworth example, obviously what's said about Steve Evans is he signed loads of players in the summer, and this is a new team, and this, that, and the other. Gareth Ainsworth came in, I think, in November, but it might have been October, with none of these players were his players, and he's come in within a few months and got them playing how he wants them to play. So why is Ainsworth able to come in and do that, and we're sat here in February still trying to work out what our identity and what our plan is at the minute?
It's a very good question. Thing about it, I mean, what I noticed yesterday was in the first half, there was no energy and no urgency, no pace, nothing that would get us round their sides at all. I mean, they were quite happy for us to do what we usually do, and that's pass it across the back. So it's sideways, backwards. The first thing that our players do is look backwards when they get the ball. And all they did was sit in a block. But then when we get in their half, then they jump on us. And I think any team that closes us down, our players are too timid to do anything about it. They're not quick enough. And that was what was frustrating me yesterday, is just watching it, that stale bit of football. Now, whether it's a mentality or not, I think it probably is. I think our players, for some reason, are mentally weak. They can't cope with somebody trying to close them down because they don't know what to do with the ball. So they start passing it sideways, passing it backwards, and then hoofing it up front. And Andre Green, I mean, he looked knackered yesterday, and I'm glad they took him off at half time. And Hugill coming on, and Hugill, I think, had his best half of football this season. At least he made some kind of difference. But equally, as Tom says, there's no pattern. You don't know what we're trying to do half the time, and it's with a bit of luck that it might go out to the wing and the cross comes over. There's nobody there, or it goes behind them. It just drives me potty because there is no pattern, and a lot of this has got to do with our erstwhile manager, who, I mean, he talks a good game, but he can't plan a good game.
No. While we're on the manager, mate, let's go back to Friday for the pre-match presser. Because we didn't have time to. I don't know whether they've changed press conference day to Friday every week just so we can't talk about it on Thursday or not. But that's how it feels at the minute. We had a very good transfer window, and we got everything we wanted to get except a striker. Talk to me how you thought, what your feelings were when you heard the big man say that. Because I think we all had similar feelings.
Well, I mean, I take it you're just throwing me under the bus because you've got some flack for the post-match. Thanks.
Correct.
Well, it's just lies, isn't it? It's just nonsense. It's nonsense. We didn't need 3 more midfielders. We needed some fullbacks. We needed somebody up front. And we got somebody in between. We got 3 players who play in between. So, but it's just nonsense. It's rubbish. But it's the same as what he said about Mpanzu as well. You know, oh, we've been tracking him for a month, and he only found out about it on day they were coming. It's whatever he says is just nonsense. Why anybody takes any notice of it? I don't know. I don't even bother listening to it anymore. There's no point. There's no point, is there? So it's just rubbish. We all know that we needed players up front. We all know we needed some depth at the back. In reality, so why not just say that? Why not just come out and say, look, this is what we wanted. Unfortunately, we weren't able to get it. This is what we've got. We have brought in some quality additions, and we have. There's no doubt about that. The 3 that come in have got some quality about them. No doubt at all. Although Sibley was very, very poor yesterday. But nevertheless, the 3 quality players. But none of them in positions that we actually need them. Just say that.
We've had nobody up front that's looked like scoring a goal for about 18 months.
No.
Seriously, consistently scoring a goal. And I mean, I was thinking about it yesterday, you know, that we had, last time we were in League One, we had Freddie Ladapo and Michael Smith, and both of them could score a goal. You know, the fact that Ladapo had, you know, his second touch was always a tackle, but at least he knew where the sodding goal was. And we had somebody to get down the wings to put the ball across. We have no width. We have nobody in the centre. And even when we do get down the sides, as I said earlier on, it's just totally inaccurate, not precise. Nobody's there. And I actually, again, didn't think we'd score yesterday.
No.
And quite perversely, when you think about Powell spending all game hitting the ball with his wonderful wand of a left foot, and the ball's going everywhere but, and then the first time he hits it with his right foot, it's a brilliant cross, and the Doffin puts it in. And it's I used to know half the time what was coming, but for the last 18 months, 2 years, I haven't, like everybody else, I'm sure.
Yeah, I agree. Rob Ace's podcast getting a bit boring now. Mick moaning about Evans.
Yeah.
It's just easier. It's hanging through, isn't it?
I agree with Rob. Is that my wife putting some on there under a pseudonym?
Matt Miller, does anybody believe a word Evans says? He doesn't like calling people liars, but this guy spreads falsehoods. John Morrell, would Ainsworth do a better job than Stevens with this squad? Yes, he would.
Yes,
without doubt. Scott Kent says because he's having to watch what he says because Tony won't allow him to say what he really wants, and that's that. He won't back him.
Does anybody believe? Here's a question: does anybody believe that Tony Stewart actively won't back our manager?
I don't know.
Because this is a bit. I'm on Twitter every day, and it drives me again up the wall, and makes me quite angry with people presuming that Tony gets a load of abuse. He's tight pants. He's not spent any money. These players will be on really decent money because effectively we've farmed off lots of top end League One players, and they're not going to be cheap. And when you got Hugo still on what allegedly $8,000 a week, you know, we're still paying a lot of money. And where does that money come from? It don't come from 8,000 crowns.
No.
You've just got to be very careful with this.
I wonder if, with the money that Stewart allowed Evans to use in the summer, and which he spent badly, in terms of wages, whether he didn't want him to spend it in January because he already spent it badly. But if that's the case, why has he kept Evans on if he doesn't trust him to spend his money?
Well, you never find out about the ones where Evans goes to Tony Stewart and says, "Right, I've got this player. Me and Rob Scott, I've got this player, and it's going to cost X. We need him." I mean, allegedly, Tony has never refused. Warney has never refused. What's his name? Evans. But you know, again, everybody thinks Tony's not giving him the backing that he wants. And just because we haven't paid for a player, you don't have to pay for a player. If you can get them free, that's even better, isn't it? We're all Yorkshiremen here. You know, it's just that we have to pay signing on fees, we have to pay wages. But you're right, something's not right. These players he's gathered together, they should be a hell of a lot better than they are.
Yeah.
And we were waiting for them to get better in September, and now we're in, where are we now? February.
Yeah. Yeah, there's not long left of the season now. Only 3 months left of the season to go.
I think it's a multitude of things rather than it's a simple fact of does Tony want to pay. I think it's a multitude coming into it. I think you got to take into consideration that we went for it last season. Like whatever anyone says, it was an awful bad season, but we went for it in regards to budget. We paid money for people. We splashed out on wage. You know, there's 7 or 8 players you could name from last season who probably were probably closer to 20 than they were 10,000 a week. So we probably have to, you know, decimate that. So we're probably in debt from that. So you're wanting to build up your money from there. The recruitment's not been the best either. The summer was probably, you know, you're overhauling 14 players consistently. And the thing with us as well is that I said it on the last one, but we're not making money from player sales other than the ones that we just have done. So they're like, what, 2 million-ish we probably made in player sales in the last 12 months. That won't go specifically straight back into the transfer budget. I just think it's trying to make up for the money that we've lost. So all the money that we should be spending on, you know, take Matt Crooks as an example, bought him for about 200k, had him for 2 seasons, sold him for $1 million plus, probably not enough money, but that was the sort of business model that we should have. And we've just not stuck to the guns, and it's their own fault, but there's, you know, we don't know how tough it is to maintain a club financially out of your own pocket, but to me it smells of I'm going to maintain my money rather than waste it, in inverted commas, paying, you know, for recruitment and whatnot. So I think it's just maintaining a zero net worth balance, which is probably what we're on at the minute. Hence small squad, but on a bit more money than we used to, because we don't get money from sales.
Didn't we make an operating loss of 5 million? And that's got to be from somewhere, was it not?
Yeah.
And we're generally 2 million every year, and he kind of writes stuff through his companies, doesn't he? And again, you know, we're not in any debt as such, you know, because he looks after it. So everybody's saying he's a tight git, but you know, where does all this money come from? It comes from him and his businesses. I just think I think some of the stuff I read is really disrespectful to a guy that rescued our club. I mean, I was one of the 3 people that went to see the administrator in March 2008, the day after we went into administration. And he looked at us and said, in all honesty, guys, if this was an engineering firm, I'd be locking that gate today because there are no assets here. But because it's a community thing, football, I'll do my best to find someone to take it over. And that's when Tony took it over. And then Tony, when he made the decision to take the club away to Don Valley, had to put down, I don't know whether he put it down, but he was under the threat of about a 2 million bond penalty for not getting back into Rotherham in 4 years. So, you know, Tony did a huge amount at that time. We wouldn't have had a club without him. And I know it's no excuse now. He has to find a way to get through this and get a better result from his managers, because he is crap at getting managers in. I mean, there's only really Warnock and Evans that have done anything. The rest of them you might as well just forget about. But they all cost money because he sacks them. So we're in a better position than some. We just have to, I think about what we expect from it used to be an average League One club, didn't it, mate? I mean, it has been more like that than the last 12 whatever years that we've had some great times, but you know, we probably need to manage our expectations a little bit more. And you know, okay, I'm an old bloke, but there has to be a bit of common sense going on here.
Yeah, I think that's fair. But we know it's like it needs to be smart with managers. The recruitment of players, say recruitment system needs to be better. We need an identity as a football club. I don't know whether that's something Stuart can actually do. Whether he's got the skills to do it, I don't know. But the hopping on of different kinds of managers over the last how many years, we never go for the same kind of manager one after another. It's always a massively different person, which is.
And they have a different view of how recruitment should go. I mean, Warney's philosophy was to get young, hungry players in. I mean, I'd never even heard of Ajayi when he signed him. I'd not heard of Ogbenny. I'd heard of Barlasser because I knew he was at Accrington the year before. But people like that, I'd never heard of them before.
No.
And, you've got to pluck them out from somewhere. Whereas I think Taylor had a different view of it. I don't know what Richardson's view of it was, but Evans has gone for the best of what he perceives to be the League One playing fraternity.
He likes the name, does Evans, doesn't he? He likes the name. Whether it pays off or not is to be seen. Well, it is being seen, I suppose. We obviously didn't full bench yesterday. We'll come on to Dango in a minute.
Oh, my toe hurts.
But Mick, we obviously let's talk through the goals. Obviously, Shrewsbury get the first goal midway through the second half. This is the one where Hacks has the issue on the right hand side. It does come from the ball in their penalty area, and this is kind of the frustrating thing where this comes from. It comes from an incident which is probably a penalty. I've not seen a replay from a good angle, to be honest with you, but it's probably a penalty in our box. Not helped by the fact that Hugel and Nombe run away from the ball, claiming for the penalty, and then they break. Hacks makes a mistake, and it's 1-0 to Shrewsbury. It's just a catalogue of poor decisions, and Shrewsbury took full advantage of that catalogue.
Yeah, absolutely they did. I mean, they get the ball out wide where we haven't got a full-back because we're not playing with any width again. Arguably, and we said this on post-match, arguably, I don't think it was a foul on Hacks. It was right in front of us. I don't think it was a foul at all. But the referee had given him all afternoon, and for far less, he just come and continued to do so after this. But for some reason, on this occasion, he decided not to, which, I don't know. I'm not blaming ref for it, because it's purely and simply our fault. And then a comedy of errors where it ricocheted off 15 players and hit somebody in the face and went in. A true Gareth Ainsworth'ed goal, weren't it? But it was so poorly defended from us. And again, it's poor from Hugel and Nombe as well. We said it again on post match. I think it's from under sixes onwards. Play to whistle. You play to the whistle. You wait for the whistle to go. Put the ball in the back of the net or over in stand, whatever. Have a go at goal at least. And then you can claim for the penalty. It was a bizarre set of circumstances with both players, and then the defending from that point was just ridiculous. It was just really, really poor. Like I said, Hacks had a rush of blood to head, threw himself on the floor, which any other time in game he would have got a foul for, except when it were in box. And they go on and managed to fluke a goal. Again, I think on the balance of play, it was probably deserved, but it's just schoolboy defending. It's terrible. It's terrible. Again and again and again.
And this is the frustrating thing, Tom. When we had this good run in January, we were saying how good the defence was. We kept a couple of clean sheets in a row. We were conceding basically no goals, and everything looked shiny and rosy and perfect. And then we'll come into the second goal in a minute. But we're just making kind of basic errors. We've gone back to being really easy to play through the middle. Even a limited team like Shrewsbury found it relatively easy to actually play through us. Hacks making silly mistakes. Jules has had a bit of a shocker for the second one. It's just gone back to basic defending, which I thought we got past this.
Yeah, I did. And the thing for me is that you can tell that they're competent, decent defenders because they are. We've seen it for, a streak of 8, 9 games, 10 games. They are good defenders, but to me they look knackered. You're asking
Possibly.
fullbacks to our 30 plus fullbacks to maintain width in a team that, you know, they've never done that in their careers. You know, they're a solid, they're just solid back up the wingers sort of fullbacks that get the job done. But these two are playing every minute of every game and expected to run up and down the line for 90 minutes. That, you know, I think Rafferty's more at fault for the second goal. I think it's completely subjective. Sorry, that the second goal, you can blame all of them for different reasons, but I think Rafferty is just pinned so tightly to his man. He's not even thinking about what's behind him because he's too tired. He's not thinking about, right, I'm just going to stick here. He's not moving anywhere. I'm not moving anywhere. Let me get my breath back. That's what I think it is anyway. And for that second goal in general, it was all of them sort of switched off. And I don't know, but just to me, mentally, it just seems like we can't concentrate for 90 minutes again. It's just a case of that they just I don't know, they all look shattered, and that's not an excuse. That's well, sort of is an excuse, but it sort of isn't, because they should still play how we know they can play, because they should still be able to, you know, track a man and maintain a line and all the basic stuff. Like you say, they've completely stopped the basics of defending. But yeah, a part of me feels a little bit sorry for that defense, because they look knackered, they're not playing well, and in those two scenarios, you swap them out for someone else, but we've not got anyone else because, you know, we're waiting until the summer transfer window. But yeah, I mean, again, like I said, it's not excusable. It was poor defending for both goals. And I think, in a weird way, you think Shrewsbury probably wouldn't actually punish you for it. But yeah, they managed to. Because let's not forget that first goal was spotty as anything. Because that finish from Marquis at the start was horrendous.
It were.
Absolutely horrendous finish. But yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, Steve, it just felt like we've gone backwards again. You know, we had that good run at the beginning of December where we won 3 games in a row, and then we lost to Mansfield, I think it was, and we went back to being rubbish. We had that win against Lincoln, and we went through a 4 or 5, 6 game run, which was really, really good again. And then we dropped off again, Burton onwards. I know we beat Cambridge, but that wasn't that good of a performance. It just seems like the team's gone backwards again, and begs questions of the manager, really, for me. Why can't he get a consistent tune out of these, or a consistent plan out of these? But I know we've had injuries. Few people mentioned McDonald and McWilliams. I just feel like he should be able to get more consistency out of this very good group of players. These are good players.
No, I agree with you. He should. But quite bizarrely, I mean, those 2 goals were almost identical in conception. I mean, all right, the finishes were slightly different. And I recall that against Burton, we were being burnt, weren't we, down our right-hand side in the first half. I can't remember the guy's name, but he was putting wicked balls across. We just seemed to be prone to that. And Ainsworth, I mean, in the first half, let's face it, they didn't get over the halfway line.
Yeah. And
I thought, well, we're looking solid here defensively. That's probably because we had no to do. But then that second goal, it's like, wow, how is he on his own? And I've had a look at it again on the telly. And you're right, Tom. I think Rafferty was too tight to his man, and there was another Rotherham player actually behind him, and he went over both of them, and this guy had a free run. And we were punished badly. And to do that a couple of minutes after we'd equalised, because when we equalised, you could feel that the stadium was up a bit, and the players were starting to respond, and then it just sucked the oxygen out of the whole place. But in terms of the team itself, they just, as I said earlier on, mentally fragile they seem to be.
Yeah.
If they can't, it does seem to be that if it's not a decent side, then we tend to take it easy. You know, we don't have to run that extra 5%. We don't have to, hunt them down like we do, when we're playing Charlton or Bolton. And it's a harsh accusation. But yeah, you're right. Evans should be having this sorted out. And I don't. You get to the point where you know that Evans yells at players and Rayner's a git to them as well. Sometimes allegedly, and you wonder whether someone's starting to turn off. But I don't know. I really don't know until I'm in the changing room with them and I can hear it. We're surmising, aren't we? We're guessing, but it is disturbing the difference in performance sometimes from one match to another. I mean, it's like not the Mansfield game, the Bradford game. It took Bradford 45 minutes to realise that we weren't very good. Yeah. And then when their manager said, "These aren't very good, so get after them." And as soon as they got after us, we just fell apart. Yeah, I don't know what Evans can do to sort this out, but it's up to him. He's the manager, and he's always talking about this, that, and the other, and what we're going to do, and what we haven't done, and what we're going to do, and how good we are, and how bad we are. Just sort it out, for crying out loud, and play some width. Just play some bloody width.
Yeah. But we don't. Yeah, but we've not had
we
players.
Don't have any width.
Yeah, there's nobody there. Yeah.
Oh God, it's so frustrating.
Yeah, it's so tough because the players of even Apaya and Bramall and Ogbenny, the quick sort of wingers that will get you from your half to their half. Relieve any sort of pressure, exciting, get you off your seat. We had that in Hungbo, and unless you can run around for 90 minutes and put in some hard graft, then you're not going to play under Evans. It's a bit for me. We just need a whole new style, in my opinion. And I know that we're still getting used to this one, but I don't know, it's very limiting. Very limiting.
Go on, mate. You going to say something?
No, I'm fed up of talking about it, mate. I'm genuinely, honestly and truthfully, I am so fed up of saying the same things. We talked about it at a game yesterday. When we were kicking towards the away supporters, James gets hold of the ball, looks forward. There's a massive gap in front of him with Powell running back towards the centre circle instead of being in that massive gap. So and that happens on both sides. So both Rafferty and James get the ball, they look up, and there's nowhere to go. There's nowhere to go because whoever's supposed to be on the left or right side of this so-called diamond aren't there. They go in the opposite direction, or they've got to hold onto the ball and wait for them to get into position, by which time everybody else is in position anyway, and we've lost any momentum that we've got. And this happens every single time that we get the ball at the back. So we end up going long to Nombe up front against the 6'4", 6'5" centre half. How managers of the experience of Evans and Rayner can't see this and still continue to do it just absolutely blows my mind. And then we're the ones, or people like me who criticise this, are the ones that are wrong, that are stupid, that are thick, that are whatever. It is so obvious, and yet here we are, same again. And on Tuesday night it'll be same again. And on Saturday at Reading it'll be same again, because it's been like it all season, and it worked for January for a few games during January when teams hadn't worked it out. But for the rest of the period, even at Lincoln, we were saying on the right hand side, where's McDonald? He's not there. Rafferty's having to come. There was nobody wide. We got away with it, and we got away with it for 5 or 6 games in a row, rather than 5 or 6 games across the season. How can these people, Evans and Rayner, not see this? The players can clearly see it. They're doing what they're told. Because if they don't do as they're told, they're going to get called out in public, or even worse, in private. That's clearly what happens. I don't know. It's bizarre, man. Honestly, I'm absolutely sick to death of watching it. It's awful.
And also it's on top of 18 months of rubbish.
Yeah,
as well. I mean, that's what is killing me. Is we had the 18 months of rubbish, and then you think, well, maybe this season's going to be a bit better, and it's actually not. In some instances, I've found it even more difficult to take. As I said to you, I had to put my socks on at 10:30 yesterday morning to make sure that I actually drove up the motorway from Derby to see the game. Otherwise, I'd have stayed here and watched it through nefarious means. But I made myself go because I feel I have to go. And I shouldn't feel like that. I mean, I've been going years. And you're probably similar, Mick, is that we've been doing this for too long.
Yeah.
And I used to look forward to games. I used to think, God, I can go and see Alan Lee. I can go and see whoever. And we had a chance of winning. And now I just go up there and I think, well, as long as I'm not bored, I'll be happy. And I was bored crapless at half time. And it's just not healthy at all. Shan't be going to Blackpool. I'm not going to Reading. There's a question mark over whether I can be bothered to go to the Barnsley game, but I'm sure I will because my lad will make me get in the car. But it's horrible. I don't like feeling like this about this club. But, you know, I've been doing this since I was 7, for crying out loud.
Yeah. I said to Mick when we came out yesterday, I said, I hate coming to this place at the minute. I just hate it. It's horrible. It's just bad to watch. There's no connection either. There's no connection with the players. You know, even when we've had bad teams in the past, there's always been a couple of players you can kind of cling on to, and I really like him because of this. It's a struggle with the current lot, really. Whether because they're not putting an extra 5 or 10%, or whatever the case may be, there's a lack of connection between the players and the fans at the minute, and even big one between the manager and the fans. I think. Go on, Tom.
No, sorry, I was just gonna. Well, yeah, I was just gonna back up Mick's point from before about the sort of the width and you know, I don't think he changed the game, but when Jack Combs came on, there was a difference in width, and he played, you know, pretty high right, and he's not a League One player, so he's not going to affect the game as much as, you know, a League One winger would. But having said that, we got a lot more crosses into the box, and a lot of those last 10 minutes where we looked like we, you know, if we were playing like that the whole game, probably would have eased through the game because it was just relentless pressure. But there was such a difference in how we played and sort of getting balls into the box and causing issues. And, you know, I'm sure at one point we'll talk about Hugo, but he made himself a menace in the box. Nombe did. It was what we needed the whole game. And it took until lumping on a 23-year-old 6 months ago in non-league to change a game. And it was, I don't know, it feels to fans so simple tactically, that, like you say, Mick, how the manager and you know, all the coaches can't see it is baffling and honestly a little bit scary.
Yeah, I mean, there's a comment that I think Phil put in the comments saying in response to me saying if we play with wingers, are we going to win every game or whatever it is he put. No, that's clearly not. That's clearly not the case. It's not that black and white, is it? But the point is, what we're doing at the moment isn't working, and every single person in that stadium, apart from the managers, can see that they can see it's not working, including the players. You know, somebody's putting there about Rafferty having a tantrum when he's not got the ball, not been given the ball off Powell. They're frustrated. The players are frustrated because of the way that they're being told to play. I can't get my head around the fact that some people think that. Well, I don't know. I don't know. I find it so depressing and so demoralising, and they just churn the same stuff out week after week, and it's just you know, now pack it in. No,
I think.
No, that's it. I'm done.
I think what this system is, I think it works. I think it can work, but you need fullbacks full of energy. You need fullbacks that can bomb up and down all game long, so you do have that width from that side. So they've got that energy. Rafa and James can't do that. They probably couldn't do that when they were 25, never mind 30 plus. So the system doesn't act. The fullbacks we've got don't work in the system. And I think we've talked about this when he changed the system as well. You've got to be very careful, and you've got to play the system perfectly to get your width. And now we're not playing it perfectly. All teams have worked it out. The width that we did have, which wasn't a great deal, has now completely disappeared. And the fullbacks can't do the jobs. You know, sometimes you can bring Bramall on, who'll give you extra little bit of pace, or whatever else. These fullbacks can't play this system effectively, I don't think.
No.
We haven't got any proper wide players.
No.
We haven't got any.
Exactly.
We had Hungbo, we got rid of him. We've got Jack Holmes, who's playing through middle. We haven't got anybody else, have we? That I could think of. I mean, I'll stand corrected, but I don't think we've got anybody.
No, we haven't got any wingers. We've just got nothing. You're right. And as you say, Jack, I'm surprised he didn't go out on loan in January. I mean, he shows little flashes, but he's not up to the job yet, which is understandable and would be very unfair to be harsh on him. But there are no wingers, and the two fullbacks are bog standard 4-4-2 fullbacks that don't necessarily have to go over the halfway line because they haven't got the, as you say, the energy or the speed. They never had the speed. So, I mean, Bramall going, as much as some people didn't particularly like him, it used to excite me the fact that he could actually bomb past people. I mean, I remember last time I saw him at Chesterfield when he just basically took the ball 80 yards and whacked it across for I can't remember who missed the chance, but that's our pace gone really out of the team because there isn't any pace. No, I can't think of anybody that's you'd say he's quick. Nombe's a bit nippy, but he I don't know. I've still not worked out. I mean, Nombe, I think he's great in terms of his work rate and his effort and what have you, but I still can't work out where he's supposed to be playing. Yeah. Because he could be wide, but equally he's supposed to be a goal scorer, but he doesn't look like a goal scorer. But there again, he doesn't get any service. So, my head's spinning.
Yeah. No, I agree. I don't think it helps with trying to play with other people, whether it's Wilkes or Hugel or Green, as it turns out. So I mentioned Green and Wilkes and wingers, maybe, they are choosing not to play them as wingers.
But Green's not that quick, is he?
Yeah, no. Wilkes is a strange one because he's looked better down the middle for me. Yeah, so again, it's strange. But yeah, Green as a winger is never. He's very technical, but I don't know what his attributes are anymore. I think he's a very technical player, but he's not quick enough to play on the wings in this league.
We've never played with wingers, so we don't know.
Yeah. True.
Fair enough. Right, still got their second goal. This is when me and Mick had a stand-up argument about whether it was offside or not. First of all, Mick, are you happy to say it's not offside?
I am. I didn't have my glasses on. I'm going with that.
Typical linesman then.
Scott Kent says Cam would not chuck it, man, letting him just run away from him. Not going with his man was pathetic. Zach Jules, I put a lump of blood on Zach Jules' mitt because he was 3 or 4 yards behind the rest of the defenders. So these I'd already mentioned. Rafferty too tight to his man on the touchline. There's plenty of blame to go around for this second goal. Again, it's just amateurish stuff. Again,
yeah. Cam had a shocker of a game yesterday. Really disappointing, and that kind of put the sort of tin hat on it really. But like you say, it's not just him to blame. As a whole, with the exception of Hacks, I think everybody in defence had some part to play in that. And it was a good cross, and they finished it well. They deserved it. Look, ultimately, of the balance of the game, they were marginally the better of two really poor sides, and they deserved the win, and we didn't. We definitely didn't. So that's where we are. That's why it's so frustrating, and that's why I went off like I did on the post match. We're losing at home to the second bottom in the league. And yet still the manager and some supporters, including you, Matt, at some point have been talking about playoffs this week. It's just... it beggars belief, not the fact that we've been talking about playoffs this week, that anybody at all could ever think that this can be in any way right. It's just awful. And that's why it's so frustrating. We lost at home to the second bottom in the league. Bizarre.
Yeah, well, we lost to bottom of the league, Burton, a few weeks ago.
Yeah, we did.
Got beaten by them.
Well, we got absolutely hammered by bottom of the league. It weren't we didn't just get beaten; we got absolutely tonked. But at least that was at their place. Just awful.
Well,
mate.
before we lost to Burton, they'd won one home game all season. Obviously, then they beat us. Before Saturday, Shrewsbury won one away game all season. That double that tally. To add into the frustration, Tom, we'd scored obviously 2 or 3 minutes before, and like Steve said a minute ago, there was an energy about the team and the players for those few minutes, and that's what frustrated me. Just such a soft goal to concede. You've got that momentum, control the game a little bit, just use that momentum, push on, and then we just give away such a shocking goal. It screams of a team that had just got no character about them.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and you hinted at it before that there's, the disparity between fans and players is because there's no characters on the pitch, and there's no characters, as a football pitch on the football pitch either. There's no one taking accountability, responsibility. Nobody's really, there's a couple times where you see Phillips run out and scream at Hacks, but it doesn't feel like it was. It feels like 11 people have gotten off the bus, which is, I'm using Evans's words here. 11 people have just gotten off the bus and been thrown onto the pitch, because that's what it feels like. There's no plan. They look like they don't play together. I don't know what they do in training. So it's so tough to sort of get behind them. But I mean, yeah, I likewise thought that when that goal went in, we would have kicked off and sort of something would have turned and switched on. But I think the fact that it didn't shows a lot more than about them than it does for us. They were together, fought for each other, all that. They were a team. We weren't. And I think that purple patch we had, and I'll keep going back to it because that's how we know that we can play, because we know that if we have the players and we play like how we could, we do decent against anyone on the team. And even Birmingham was a let's not forget that was only a week ago that we were saying, about how impressive that performance was. But it's just so uninteresting as a fan to watch this team, because not one player do I want to get behind, not one player do I want to think I hope they have a good game, this, that, and the other, because there's no characters there, there's no personality on the pitch. It's just 11 players who look like they've just been picked up from random clubs and dropped onto a team just to see what happens, and it's not enjoyable to watch, is it? But look, we've said this before all season, and then the players have turned it around. I don't doubt that they can again, but something inherently needs to change for it to be a consistent approach, because we can't keep going through phases of playing good for 2-3 games and then playing how we do against teams that we shouldn't be losing to if you want to be in a position that we should be in. Those stats speak for itself that, Shrewsbury only winning once away and Burton only winning once at home or whatever, and then they play us and it's the easiest game they'll ever play all season. That shouldn't be a thing. That shouldn't be a consistent measure. Something is inherently wrong with that. And it's I don't know what, but whether it's players, manager, infrastructure, whatever, but something, if not all three, needs to be addressed. Not got the answers.
It's a missed opportunity as well. If you go back to when we beat Charlton, had they not scored that consolation goal, we would have been above Charlton in the league. We'd have gone to the top half. Charlton are now in the playoffs, or we're in the playoffs on Saturday. So that tells you the opportunity that we've missed from just building on a little bit of consistency, because it was there. The opportunity to get the playoffs is there. I think it's not far off gone. Never say never, but it's just so frustrating. Before we go further, Mick, do you want to have a quick ref rant? Because he was not very, I don't think he necessarily impacted the game, Mick, but he was poor.
Yeah, I mean, I'll upset Mike, because I know Mike's made a few comments already in the comments there about refs. He was probably one of the worst we've had this season. I thought hugely inconsistent, and I mean there were at least 2 absolutely clear penalties on Hakeem Odoffin. I mean, they were so ridiculously clear. He was being almost picked up and body slammed on floor on 2 occasions
as well, I think, as well.
Yeah, and he's given nothing, and then the ball comes out the area, a player trips over a blade of grass, and he gives a free kick. You know what I mean? The minimal amount of contact outside the box, and all of a sudden it's a free kick. It was really poor. We did not. That did not impact the game in the sense that, it's not because that's not why we lost. It was just poor. It was just really poor. Yeah, I think Nick's put it there. Hugo was almost rugby tackled in penalty area. It was never ever going to give anything in the penalty area, no matter what. Despite the fact that, we're going to deal with shirt pulling and everything else in penalty area. it don't happen, does it? But yeah, he was poor, really poor.
It was, yeah. Let's take a positive though, Steve, while we can kind of grasp on one a little bit. Jordan Hugo came on at half time and had his best 45 minutes in a little while. It's not his best game ever, like some people have said for us, but it was certainly a good 45 minutes. That save from Jamal Blackman was a great save, and obviously the game could be very different if obviously that goes in, but we should praise Jordan Hugo where we can, because that's more like it.
Well, absolutely, and he got 45 minutes to show, and I think he made it uncomfortable for their back four, and he looked quite mobile. And he didn't fall over that often, which is good, and he linked stuff up. I mean, there was one where he kind of chested it at an angle, and I thought, crikey, accurately to one of our players. But yeah, I think we need to praise him. I mean, he's been paid by the club, and it can't be easy. All right, his wages might, but he's a human being, and he can't not know that a lot of people just don't want him there. So I was actually really pleased for him that he performed to that level, and it would have been great if Blackman hadn't got his hand to that. It was a brilliant save, but it was a really good header as well. So positive, yeah. And I kind of expect that Evans might play him and Nombe up front at Blackpool on Tuesday, and so half expecting what happened in the last 20 minutes to be how we start. Now that will be a bit of a push. I just hope if Hugo does start with Nombe on Tuesday, that he continues in that vein, because in that sort of form, he is really useful. Really useful.
Yeah.
Just another player as well. I thought Pelly, Ruddock and Panzu, I thought he showed enthusiasm all over the place. He was all over the shop. And I just hope that yesterday's performance hasn't put him off, because you can tell that he's got a bit about him, and a nice touch. And, he's pretty mobile. I mean, he's 30 now, but he's still very mobile. I think he'll be useful. So I'm looking forward to seeing him play.
Yeah.
I agree.
Steve says just on Hugo, if he played at that level every week, I'd accept it. Thought he was our main threat. Kelly Hobson should start. Nick says showed a bit of class that he actually has. Nick Cammack, I thought Hugo was very good, denied a good chance and a decent save. Tom's a decent player when he wants to be, and not when he's more interested in falling over or resting. He did do that once or twice yesterday. He did give away a couple of stupid fouls. But if he plays like that, he can almost accept the antics, because he was effective.
Absolutely,
yeah, he really was.
You got to get the ball in the box to him, though.
Sorry?
Yeah.
You got to get the ball in the box to him, and then in order to do that, you've got to get it out wide. So that's that stuff. Well, have you?
We'll see, won't we?
Yes, you're right.
Yeah, we do, and we'll see on Tuesday, won't we?
We will. Yeah. We'll see.
For more fun and frolics.
We go from a positive to a negative, Tom. I want to pick out Lewis Sibley, who came off relatively early. He obviously scored 2 minutes into his debut, and he was very good in the really important in the Cambridge win. Other than that, Lewis Sibley's struggling really. And somebody put in the comments earlier whether they wonder whether the system doesn't work without McWilliams, because Lewis Sibley is not a Sean McWilliams kind of player. He's more technical. He drifts in and out of games a little bit more. And is that something that's impacting us? Because he was nowhere yesterday, Lewis Sibley, and he wasn't in midweek either.
I'd argue the same for Cam. I don't think these sort of games suit either of them. You're scrappy, sort of. You gotta fight to win almost. They're not those type of players. They're luxury players that if you get them on the ball in the right areas, they'll do stuff that other players can't. And Sibley doesn't. He's not that, is he? He's a more of a technical. He's a green, in my opinion. He's sort of just a technical, shuffles himself about the pitch, links up midfield to attack, and I think we can just accept that it was a poor game and hope that he bounces back. But it's interesting you say the McWilliams thing, because I agree. I think McWilliams is, weirdly enough, with this system especially, one of the most important players we have in the squad, and it's amazing to consider that, because he's we're missing him big time, and his impact on a game is a lot more substantial than Sibley's would be. And that's not saying that Sibley's a bad player. He has his pros and his cons and his weaknesses are really shown in this setup, which is a shame for him, especially because still only 23. I mean, he can still be a fantastic player, but currently it's not working for him, and I feel really I feel bad for him because he didn't have a bad game on purpose. He ran around, he did try. Yeah, it just wasn't happening for him, and I think at the end of the day, it just didn't come off for him. So I think we just got to scratch that one down because it didn't happen for a lot of people through whatever reasons. But I don't think he was a person that you can single out and say they particularly had a bad game. Yeah, I feel like if you were to do that, it would be a bit harsh.
A couple of Derby fans at work basically said, "Oh, see, you've got Sibley. He's really good on his day, but he used to be a 1 in 4. One of the guys said he's a 1 in 4, one decent game in 4, which is why he's not still at Derby, because he was a big hope for them, wasn't he? He scored that hat-trick on one of his early games at Millwall, didn't he? But you can still see flashes. Again, it's consistency, isn't it? And as you say, Tom, we need to find out whether really he can play in whatever we're trying to do. I mean, we'll laughably call it a system, but I'm not sure anybody knows what we're trying to do anyway.
No. Matt Miller says 55 minutes and no Paul Warne mentioned yet. Well, yeah, we've no intention to mention Warney, to be fair. We've got our own problems. Let's put it that way. Sean H says, view on Dan Cole breaking a nail. Now, this is a weird one, a very, very weird one. He did the presser on Friday. Steve Evans said he hadn't done enough work to get pain in his nose or get a run in his nose, never mind his foot. And he woke up Saturday morning and essentially called in sick with a pain in his foot. Mick, what do you take anything from it? Is it Steve Evans crossed the line maybe by... He hasn't criticised him as the way I took it. I thought he criticised him in public for a guy being injured, or is he absolutely right to kind of call him out?
It's unlike him to criticise one of his players in public, isn't it? I've seen that this week. Sorry, in the last 2 days. I don't know. I'll keep a watching brief on this one. You and I had a conversation about Mr. Evans and his treatment of younger players last week. I'm just going to sit back and see what happens. I've got my views on how he treats them, and it's not a surprise to me that it may possibly have fallen out with one of them, or they may possibly have fallen out with him. Not sure. Don't know. It may be right. It may be genuine. He may have a sore foot from what little training they do. I don't know. I've no idea. But that was quite passive aggressive, that weren't it? Really, just stuck that one in. But
he should have just said that he was ill or
injured,
whatever. Just don't make a big thing of it.
Yeah, on commentary they said that he was ill, which is fair enough, But
now it's a talking point.
Nah, it is, and it maybe it is poor from him, but he's 20. He's probably he's probably not he's not an idiot. I'm just going to say, and he's probably a decent chap, and probably doesn't deserve the media coverage he's going to get now. Especially being United's kid. So unfair for me. But however,
at this stage,
but it does beg the question though. You put in 6 players on the bench. Could he not have been the 7th? It's it sparks a question, but for journalistic purposes, a little bit unfair.
Yeah. Ryan Thomas says he thinks it was the way Stevens handled it is disgusting. Keep it in house and address the situation professionally. Kicking up the arse in private if needed. He's just looking for more scapegoats. So he's not. Surely he's not suggesting Stevens is trying to shift the play more, shift the attention to somewhere else other than.
2 words, John Swift.
Yes.
Yeah. It wouldn't be like Rotherham to sign an injury-prone player, though. To be fair, would it? It's not. It wouldn't be very Rotherham to do that. So let's wait and see. Is there anything else from the Shrewsbury game we need to talk about before we have a quick chat about Blackpool? Mick, do you want to upset any more Shrewsbury fans?
We should be beating teams who are second bottom.
I'm going to be a bit more generous. I don't think they'll go down, and nor do I think Burton will go down. We caught them at the wrong time, just as they were in the ascendancy that changed the manager. It doesn't excuse the fact that we were pants on both games.
Yeah.
And we should be beating teams like Burton and Shrewsbury.
Cheers, Steve.
You're welcome, mate.
Cheers, mate.
Yeah. I'd be surprised if Shrewsbury go down. They are extremely difficult to play against. Very, very difficult to play against.
They're going to be teams, aren't they?
They're very Birmingham, haven't they, and Wrexham, and
exactly. Well, like I said, we found this with Wrexham that if you suggest two things are true at the same time, Wrexham fans didn't like it, and so like Shrewsbury fans didn't like it. Yes, Shrewsbury, you were very good and did what you did very well. Also, we do think we should be beating you. Both of those things are true. It's okay for both things to be true. It's fine.
It's because that makes a bad man.
Yeah.
A bad man.
I'm patronising. Not patronising. Yeah, patronising. Well, patronising. Can't remember now.
No, I don't know.
Pretentious.
Sorry, pretentious.
Pretentious.
Does that mean I've got to walk around and put my little finger in it when I drink my cup of tea?
What are you pretending to be that you aren't?
I don't know. Pretending to be an old balls man who doesn't know a great deal about football.
You continue to be, like me, a grumpy old bugger.
Yeah. And I'm not pretending, I actually am.
Yeah, seen it all, done it all, still a bit.
Scott kept asking why we didn't put Ayres on, and Caleb was asking, he's not sure we can play him. I don't know the rules, Matt. Yeah, he would have been. Had we not sent him back out on loan, he would have been available to play for us. The playing for two clubs only applies above the National League, so he is available for us if he isn't out on loan at a club. Having said that, I think it's better that he goes and plays minutes somewhere because based on Bradford, I like him, but he's very, very green. So let's hope that he develops. Go on, what are you laughing at now?
I'm laughing at Ryan's comment there. it's just tickled me quite a lot.
The main issue as the club is no one's taking account of what's going on. The chairman doesn't care. The manager's tactically inept. Players hate the fans. Managers hate manager club, and the fans hate everyone.
Yeah, that's about sums it up, doesn't it?
Very perceptive.
Absolutely looking on bright side there, Ryan. Man after my own heart.
Right, Blackpool Tuesday evening trip to the. What's better than a trip to the seaside on a very windy, cold December Saturday afternoon is a trip in a very cold, windy, wet Tuesday evening in February, which is when this is the postponement. The referee, just to kick that off, is Seb Stocksbridge. He refereed the EFL Trophy final with the 4-2 win. Wasn't very good, to be honest with you. Not one of my favourites, but he is what he is. This is Tom, where again I'll go. What should we do, Tommy? Should we bring this guy in? Should we do X, Y, and Z? Other than Hugo coming in, there are no changes to make at this point, is there?
We can't. We literally, there's no point in us trying to discuss team selection because there is 11 players. It's unless you want to put Dawson up front, there's literally nothing else that we can do.
He's tall.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he'll probably do more of a job in the box than certain players, but look, and it's mental, isn't it? Because I agree. I think Hugo was excellent, and if he played like that second half performance every game, then he'd be your main striker. He'd be your starting striker because he had such an impact when he came on. And it's a shame because it's frustrating because that's what he can do. But it's incredible that we've gotten to that stage of, again, where if a player has a good game for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, they start the next one. There's no consistency. There's no ability to sort of just get a rhythm or anything. And because we have no other players, this is the only time to be consistent. But hey, look, I think Hugo will start, probably play how we know Hugo to play, and then we'll go back to thinking, well, why the hell did he play? So it's just going to keep going on and on and on. But yeah, we'll see. It will be. I wouldn't be surprised to see Sibley dropped simply based on the premise of Evans hooked him early on, so he probably didn't think he had a good game, or Green's injured or something. But there's too many players out on that pitch who shouldn't be playing based on current form that are going to play because there's nobody else, and that's the realistic. That's the realism of where we are.
Yeah, no, Jordan, down to bare bones now. Yeah, Evans says that the 5 players that are out should be back within 10 days or so. So they'll all be back at the same time, which is convenient. But yeah, Paula says she's booked a day off work. She was in better put.
Oh God,
bless you, Paula, and everybody else that's going. You're all legends for sticking with it.
Yeah,
the
but
season
you still need your brains testing.
Yeah. Harry, how can we be down to bare bones when we've had a good window? That's a great question, Harry. It would have been nice for somebody to ask that question at a press conference, to be honest with you. If it's such a good window, why we're so. But anyway, let's not criticise people.
But we know the answer already, don't we? It's injuries. So it's a waste of time asking the question because that's what you'll get.
Yeah. Fair enough. We're 10 points off the playoffs. I think 11 off the relegation zone. So we are perfectly mid-table, Steve. Are you in the camp of seasons kind of over? We're not going to lose every game, so we're not going to go down, but we're not going to win enough to get the playoffs.
Well, if you have a look at the level of performance over the last 20-odd games or whatever we played, I've more chance of copping off tonight than us going up, frankly. And also, even if we did sneak into the playoffs and then we had 2 brilliant games to get through to Wembley and then we won at Wembley, I mean, how terrifying would next season be? I'm not saying I don't want us to go up at all. If we go up, then we have to take it and deal with it. But for crying out loud, there's no level of performance that indicates to me that we're going to get into the playoffs. There might have been a couple of weeks ago for a split second, but no, I'm sorry, I can't see it at all.
Yeah.
And that's what's depressing me.
I agree, Mick, and it's with the biggest budget we've ever had at this level as well that we're probably going to fit. It feels like where we are now, 15th, whatever we are at the minute, we're playing like a mid-table team. We have these runs which Steve mentioned where you can maybe have a little glance at the playoffs because you have a good run, and then you go on the runs we have at the minute. It screams, 10th to 17th kind of position, league position.
Yeah, it does, and that's where we're going to be in it. That's where we're going to be. I think we're probably. Where are we on points now?
37, I think.
37.
So 13 points to get to that 50.
We'll do that easy.
Which is always it's the first target, whether it be September, October, or whether it's February or March, isn't it? That's the target you aim for in the season. Unfortunately for us, we're now into February and we're still aiming for 50 points, which I think if you'd have told me that in August, I'd have probably not bothered renewing my season ticket, to be perfectly honest, because we knew what we were going to get. But yeah, the season's done. The season's dead and buried, I think. Certainly one more defeat in the next three or 4 games and it's definitely gone. We're going to have to really put a run together before for anything to happen. So it's just been a season number 3, and it of being fed up. Season number 3 on the trot. I've been fed up with what we're seeing, what we're being served, and it doesn't seem that there's anything at the moment, any sort of where that's going to change. So depressing, a little bit depressing. I want it to be over and done with. Although I'm not wishing my life away.
And this weekend, living in Derby, of course, the guy that we're not supposed to mention, I've seen all that, heard all that. I've heard Radio Derby snippets from Matt Hamshaw yesterday, and it just makes my heart pump a little bit faster because I forget how much I used to love watching the team. But after 2.5 years, I'm still waiting to find that love again. I know it's a romantic claptrap, but you know what I mean.
Yeah,
you're right. It's just gone. There's nothing there to hang on to.
No.
Yeah, they'll probably prove us wrong now and win some of the next 15 games or something on the bounce.
Yeah.
And to be quite honest, I hope they do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
We'd all be buzzing to be wrong, wouldn't we? We'd be absolutely buzzing to be wrong.
Absolutely, it'd be us all over.
Yeah.
Teams like Rotherham, eh?
do you want to add anything to that, Tom? Any whisper of positivity you can find, or should we just...
I mean, look, the best thing you can think about is that it will get better, and whether or not you want whoever is at the helm, I think the season's written off, and I think all we've got to do now is sort of look to next season, and you know, come the summer we might sign a couple starlets. Anything can happen in football, and it's, you know, whatever happens, we're all in it for the ride. Basically, there will be good times and there'll be times like this. But yeah, that season that we went up a couple of years ago was so exceptional that maybe we shouldn't bring that as a bar. Maybe we're finally content with battling around mid-table. So everyone got their wish. It's just in a league below what they wanted.
That's true.
Yeah, it's tough to be positive at the minute, but yeah, things will swings and roundabouts.
It is swings and roundabouts. I mean, we've had some really bad times in the 80s, 90s, and this last 15 years has been, in comparison, has been brilliant. And unfortunately, we're just having a bit of a sticky in at the moment, which is lasting longer than we really want it to. And really, a lot of our fans, it's longer than they used to. And I don't blame them for that at all, because they've seen some great stuff. So fingers crossed that between now and the end of the season, we see some shoots of recovery and more positivity.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, before the double promotion to Evans, we had 8 years in League Two, 4 of those in Don Valley. Obviously, the first couple were in administration, so it can take a while before things kind of turn. Harry says, at least with Evans in charge in the summer, you're going to get 15 signings, Martin Hall, and a trip to Scotland pre-season as well.
Why do we need that? Because we'll still be talking in December that we need time to gel.
They do need time to gel. You can't expect a manager to come in straight away and get players he's never worked with together playing well. It's
you mean a bit like Gareth Ainsworth'ed, just pulling Shrewsbury out at bottom 4? No, you're right. Absolutely not.
Does anybody want to answer Scott Kent's question about Paul Warne, or should we leave that for a later date? I'm happy to leave it. I don't think we should. I'm in the camp. We shouldn't really open that.
I might not be here, but I'd love to have him back. But I don't think he should come back.
No,
I adore the man. I'll be blatant, but I don't think he would come back, and I don't think he should come back because it wouldn't be the right move for him.
No,
I don't think he work on the street again.
Yeah,
I think he want to work on the street again potentially. Do you want to add anything, Mick?
For another time, innit? I'm getting enough criticism at the moment. I can do it anymore.
Well, the good thing is, at the minute, you're being criticised by opposition fans, not your own fans for once. That makes a change.
Well, it's only a matter of time, isn't it? I've given Evans a couple of barrels this evening, so I'm sure about it.
You love it, mate. Tomorrow. You love it.
He says these things and then it leaves me to pick up the pieces on Twitter by replying to these other accounts.
I have noticed.
Matt Miller, we'll finish on this. Matt Miller, the season is never over, as there are fantastic fans like Paul that will continue to turn up all the games that come what may. Yes,
absolutely.
Very, very well put. We'll do predictions. Let's tick on to predictions. Right, I don't have Ben or Danny's predictions because they haven't messaged back. Ben's, I don't know what Ben will be doing. Ben will be preparing for the Super Bowl probably. And Danny's up in Edinburgh last we checked. But Kev has obviously gone for 3-0 because that's how it happens. I should add that nobody got any points right for the Shrewsbury game because nobody predicted the Shrewsbury win. Joy has gone for 2-1. Tom, where are you going for? Midweek away at Blackpool. Mid-table, a couple of points ahead of us. Steve Bruce is still manager.
I mean, it's impossible to say because I think I predicted it in the last episode that, you don't know what team you're going to get turning up, and I don't know what other teams are like. I'm going to stay optimistic though, and I'm going to say 2-1 win. I'm going to think it's midweek, albeit away, but midweek we tend to, I don't know, God knows, 2-1 Rotherham.
Well, we don't win Saturday at 3 o'clock away, do we? So if we're going to win away, it's going to have to be on Tuesday night.
It's got to be, It's all in. It's all written in the stars or whatever, astrology.
Mick,
I forgot that Steve Bruce was managing there. I forgot all about that. All they need is Sam Allardyce in there, and all it'd be like football's equivalent to Jurassic Park, wouldn't it? 2-0 Blackpool.
Ooh.
Oh, God, he's positive, isn't he? Jesus. Right.
What about you?
Can I say, I know I'm not in it, but I'm going to go for a Cambridge-style 1-0 win, in off non-base back legs.
I'll take that. I'll take that every day of the week.
Yeah.
Scott Kent says he tipped Shrewsbury to beat us, so he's tipping Blackpool to do the same 3-0. Fisherman Sid saying 2-0 to Blackpool, as is Chris. Powermad saying 8-0 to Blackpool. Tom K going 1-1. Martin Hall 0-0. Harry says 2-0, to who, because we're away. Chris Taylor saying 2-1 loss. Gizmo saying 4-0 to Blackpool. Paula Rose hoping for a 1-0 to us, but who knows. Brian Thompson, the coldest, most Brexit 0-0 of the season, which I like. Mark's 3-0 to Blackpool. He's played in the last 3 games, but hopes 0-1. Keller Probs, he's going to watch Woomwell on Tuesday. I think he thinks they'll win 2-1. Steve 1-1 as well. There we go. I'll chase up Ben and Danny for their predictions as well. Is there anything else?
Danny said 1-0 to Blackpool.
Well,
sorry.
At least Tom's paid attention.
No, that's relevant. Just saying.
Thank you very much, Tom. It's not like he messaged me straight after I sent him a text message, to be fair. But anyway, is there anything else we need to mention before we move on?
Oh, please no.
Don't think so.
No.
Mick, who's your pick for the Super Bowl, if anybody cares?
Chiefs.
Chiefs.
I want to see Chiefs win.
Again.
I don't like Eagles. I don't know why. I have no reason not to like them. I just don't like them. I think it might be Wrexham connection.
Yeah, I was going to say Rob McElhenney, innit?
Yeah. So,
yeah. It's not. I thought you liked Wrexham.
Yeah, but listen, Chiefs for me. I like Patrick Mahomes. I think he's a hell of a quarterback, and he's going to be right up there with the best, I think, come the end of his career. So, and he's a little bit quirky. He's a little bit unusual. I like him. I like him a lot. So Chiefs. Okay.
Steve, Tom, you got anything to add on this? Because I am.
No, I just want Eagles to win because it doesn't.
I used to like the New England Patriots in 1985, and I don't know whether they still exist or not. The only quarterback I was ever bothered about was Dan Barlasser.
Yeah.
Nicely brought back.
Like
we recovered it.
Martin Holland, once ref. Yeah, Matt ref. Seb Stocksbridge, referee, go through, and his record's mixed for us, to be fair. And I don't rate him, but that's where it is. Right. Thank you all for being with us tonight. We've gone a bit longer than normal, to be fair, but thank you very much. Please do subscribe to YouTube if you haven't done so already. If you want to see Mick winding up an entire fan base, make sure you check out the instant reaction. Some great comments from Shrewsbury fans. I didn't know Shrewsbury fans could get so angry, to be honest with you. I thought they were like a nice set of people, but absolutely not. They were very, very, very unhappy. So go and check that out if you haven't done so already.
Because they have to watch that dross every week. I'd be unhappy if I had to.
The ones that were walking up New York Way, a couple of them were swearing their heads off at the stewards. Yeah, they were giving them. I thought it was going to be a fight. And I can't move very quickly, so I wasn't running away.
I don't know why. I mean, but Shrewsbury, like kind of a posh area, we're full of nice people. I've obviously got that in my head.
Well, they probably are the majority. The rest of them just come to football.
So check that out. Make sure if you're watching live, make sure on YouTube, make sure you've given this video a thumbs up as well, because that helps us. If you're one of the couple hundred watching on X, make sure you follow us on there and go over to YouTube and subscribe. If you're just audio listening on iTunes or Spotify, please make sure you subscribe or follow or give us a 5-star rating, whatever your system allows you to do. Please do so. There will be a scouting report. That's probably going to be Tuesday morning. I'm speaking to the Blackpool guys tomorrow night, so there will probably be a Tuesday morning time. Will be the scouting report for you to have a watch on the way to Blackpool, and then we'll be back for the full review show on Thursday, which will obviously be a preview of a trip down to Reading on Saturday afternoon. It only gets more and more exciting as the weeks go by. Thank you all for being with us. Thank you, Mick. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Steve. As always, it's been fun and I've enjoyed it. I can do every week. Thank you very much. We will see everybody next time. And as always, up the Millers.
Up the Millers.
I think I always made the comment that once a Miller, always a Miller.
Ravel, ambitious, but brilliant! I don't believe it! I swear I do not believe it! Good heavens, he's done it again! Another promotion for the big man.
I've got 12 bottles of champagne in my office and we're going to drink them all night.
Do me a favor, drop me off in